Welcome back to the channel. This is 20 Storm and you are watching third part of What If Naruto Was Sealed for a Millennia. If you enjoy this video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
Ha. After that, I earned this. It's hard to stay on the couch all day and night. Naruto went to the public baths to relax. It was the middle of the night, and he was the only one there. Since it was Devil Run, he got in for free, and people couldn't find the place. I feel bad for Issei. Since him getting a good, long feel of Asia's ass was an unexpected part of his joke that went wrong, Naruto said it. It felt wrong for him to enjoy touching a guy's girlfriend, but his joke worked out in the end because he got a great feel of all of those girls' asses. When Naruto heard something, he looked up. People walking toward the bath, and judging by how softly they walked, they weren't dudes. Naruto looked at the wall, and then his eyes got big when he realized there was something he didn't like about this bathhouse. Poof. So that he wouldn't be called a pervert for what was about to happen, Naruto changed into something that didn't look suspicious. Not only that, but only Searsex knew that he was in Kuo at the moment. He couldn't tell anyone he was in Kuo until the day he was supposed to come. He turned into a bar of soap. He turned into an orange bar of soap because no one would want to use orange soap when there were better smelling soaps to choose from. People didn't want to use him even more because he landed on the tile floor instead of where the soap was supposed to be. Asia, look, this is how skinship is supposed to be in Japan, between girls. I see. So this is one of the places that the devil owns? Asia asked as she followed Kaneko, Rias, and Akeno into the swimming area. Since everyone was done with their clients for the night, Rias thought it would be a great idea to show Asia one of the many places in Kuo that were run by devils and where humans could not go. There were also mixed baths. There were arcades, clothing stores, and tech stores owned by devils in the city, but this was where their kind could relax after helping late-night customers. After humans went to sleep, the doors to their bathhouses would be locked. Since Kuo was full of devils and other supernatural creatures, it made sense for this place to be open at night. The soap was Naruto. Ah. Asia fell when she stepped on a bar of soap. She slid a few feet forward and landed with her crotch right on top of the bar of soap she had slipped on. The most painful part was when her butt hit the hard floor. Ow ow. Asia just got up and picked up the bar of soap she had fallen on. Rias gave her the soap. Here, Asia, let me wash your back. You should learn how to do it yourself, though, because you never know when you'll want to wash someone else's back. Rias said something to Asia to give her a hint, but the girl didn't get it. At the washing station, they all sat down next to each other, and Asia turned around so that her back was to Rias. The back of a girl was smooth, soft, and not very big. As Rias pushed him up against Asia's back, Naruto could feel the bones under her soft skin. Rias then smiled and started to rub soap on her own breasts, lathering them up until soap bubbles covered them. Then she put the bar of soap between her breasts and pushed her huge chest up against Asia's back. Bucko. As she rubbed her body up and down against Asia, the bar of soap stuck out of the top of her breasts. Remember that if you use your breasts to wash a man's back, the man will really like it. Since you're now a demon, Asia, you can be more alluring. Rias washed Asia's back with her soapy breasts while balancing the soap between them. She jerked, and the soap flew out of her boobs, went over Asia's head, and landed in front of Asia, where she caught it. She used the soap bar in her hands to start lathering up Asia's breasts. Ria's breasts were soft, and a bar of soap would almost disappear inside them. Asia's breasts, on the other hand, were soft in a different way. They weren't the same pillowy soft that jiggled all the time because of gravity. Instead, they were the kind of softness that went against gravity because it could resist the jiggling that physics required of it. Her nipples were smaller and more pale pink than Rias's, which were hard and pale pink. Everything about them was smaller, but they were tougher and livelier than Rias. It was clear as the soap suds cleaned them. Book Bucko, that makes me laugh, haha. Try it now. Akeno. Rias gave her queen what she had, and the queen laughed and turned her back on Asia. Show me what you've got, Asia. Akeno moved her hair out of the way so that Asia could reach her back in its entirety. Skin-to-skin contact between demons was a lot sexier than between human girls, and while the bar of soap could disappear completely between Ria's broad chest and Asia's more modest chest, the soap bar could still be seen. She put her chest in the soap against Akeno's back and pushed her chest together with her arms and elbows. She couldn't wrap her arms around Akeno and control her chest at the same time like Rias could. She had to put a lot more pressure on the soap bar if she wanted to keep it balanced between her smaller breasts. The bar of soap could feel that pressure. This soap smells exactly like the soap my family uses. Rias noticed that the smell of the soap was exactly the same as the soap her family used. Naruto cursed in his mind. The way he smelled didn't change much when he changed, so the smell of the soap was the smell of the soap he had used most recently. It was the same soap that Rias' family used, because he had been using it himself lately. He was the soap bar. He had to give up being human and fully accept his role as soap. If he didn't, he might lose his focus and turn back into his normal form. When compared to the couch, this was even more dangerous because he would change back into himself. Without clothes. I'm sorry if I'm not as good as Rias. Don't worry, even a girl who makes mistakes can be cute. I say, boys will like you even more for being clumsy than for being sexy about it. Akeno herself thought that Asia's awkward movements were very cute. She broke away from Asia and took the soap from her, lathering up her breasts. They were dangerously bouncy and stretchy. Even though Ria had bigger breasts, her nipples were the same size as Ria's, but they were the same color as Asia's. They were bigger and more stretchy than Ria's, but not as soft as a pillowy marshmallow. Instead, they were more like a pillowy marshmallow. They were the kind of breasts that would make it easy to suffocate, so she pushed them up against Asia's chest. She wrapped both of her breasts around one of Asia's breasts and moved them up and down, lathering up the whole breast of the smaller girl, before moving on to the next breast. Do you want next, Kaneko? Rias asked the little girl as she smiled at her. Kaneko nodded. It was just a little skinship between Rias and her, which she was used to. Since she met Rias, she heard it a lot. Rias got the bar of soap back and started washing Kaneko while Asia and Akeno were rinsing off. People believe that massaging their breasts will make them bigger. It's a fun idea. Rias's breasts were big enough to cover most of Kaneko's back, and she used her arms to reach around Kaneko and start rubbing soap up and down her belly. Kaneko's body was tight. She had a little bit of fat, so you couldn't see her abs, but she had the body of an athlete, so it was easy to feel the muscle under that little bit of fat. She didn't have the softest breasts of any of the other girls, but they were the perkiest. She had the tiniest, lightest colored boobs, and Rias knew what she was doing when she started to press the soap bar into her small, light-colored boobs and play with them. NNHG. Kaneko gave a tiny sigh and a tiny laugh at the same time. Her nipples got stiff because of a physical reaction. Naruto shouldn't be here right now, and it was dangerous for him to be there. Rias's fine hands moved him as the bar of soap in ways that were definitely bad for his reputation. He could now add the girl's boobs to the list of things he would have to keep secret. As Rias and Kaneko switched places, he was used to clean every part of their bodies. Become soap. Naruto had to force himself not to go back. He had to keep being the soap he had become. Even though this wasn't a pervy jutsu by nature, it sure made him feel like a huge perv by accident. He had only wanted to avoid a misunderstanding, but now he had to keep another secret from getting out. Ew. NNHG. Damn it if these girls didn't make it hard to stay focused on being soap, and damn it to him for not just turning into a random girl and sneaking out of the bath when the chance came up. Of course, the obvious thing he should have done didn't come to his mind until now. It was true that hindsight was 20/20, but it was a damn shame on him that he could be an idiot who didn't think things through when he was scared. You two all done? Sure, let's just rinse off. You go first, Kaneko. Rias said as she returned with the soap, and Kaneko rinsed off before going to the bath. Rias smiled before using the soap to wash her face. She was happy. The soap was Naruto. Hey Naruto, first the couch, now the soap. My brother might have kept you a secret, but Grafia told me you were in Kuo. You're a very bad boy, which I like. He was a fake, and he was caught. Rias smiled and whispered so quietly that no one could hear her. Her smile showed that she wasn't even mad about what had happened. She was going to keep Naruto's secret about what happened, because she already knew he was at the bathhouse before she came. She knew he was here, so she told all the girls to come here to show Asia how skinship between girls and demons worked in Japan. Grafia had told her that Naruto was going to play a joke on them. When Searsex told her that Naruto could turn into inanimate objects, she figured out on her own that Naruto had turned himself into the couch. Still, she thought it was great. If she hadn't known Naruto was in town, she would never have figured out that he was both the couch and the bar of soap. She only found out he was in town and in a pranking mood by chance, but she could take advantage of it. She could tease Naruto, show off her body, and do a lot more to get his attention. The soap didn't do anything for her. Huh. I could have been wrong. Rias thought to herself, and then she was glad she had been quiet. She would have thought that Naruto would whisper back, but the soap didn't say anything at all. She put down the soap, rinsed herself off, and got in the bath with the other girls. The soap was Naruto. Naruto changed from a bar of soap into a very small mouse with a very small puff of smoke. The mouse ran out of the bath and into the men's changing room. When he was safe, he turned back into himself and panted, his face turning bright red and his heart beating faster than it ever had before. Good. Rias doesn't think I was me. He knew that she wanted him to whisper back, but he had become the soap. He'd done his job as soap, but he hadn't talked to her. If he had talked, he would have confirmed her suspicions and shown that all of their bodies had been washed with him. He was to blame for the couch. Naruto did not plan for any of this to happen. Requests. When he got to work in the morning, he had more than 1,000 requests from high and ultimate ranked devils who wanted Naruto to marry into their families. Half of the requests came from the fathers and the other half from the mothers, but the fact is that a lot of devils wanted to bring their worship statue into their bloodline. His human ancestry didn't matter at all, because the legend that came before him was the bloody history that led humans to ruin many times. Lord Searsex, your friend Lord Riser is here to see you. Graphia was in work mode. It's definitely about Rias. I'll listen to what he has to say. At the very least, this will give me a break from all these complaints and requests. Searsex was tired of sending letters to all of Naruto's families to tell them that he had no say in who Naruto married. None of them could rule over Naruto because he was a human. Even though he lived there, he was not under their control. He couldn't even tell Naruto what to do, and he didn't even want to. Naruto was a ninja, so if he didn't want to do something, he could run away and do what he wanted to do somewhere else. Lord Searsex. I guess you've heard that your date got cancelled? Searsex said what he wanted to say right away. He had a lot going on at the moment. He made time for his friends and family, but since Riser was neither, he could be a bit shorter with him. So. What's it? Searsex could tell from Riser's face that he was upset. He inhaled deeply. I want to get back together with Rias. My parents asked Lord Naruto to marry my sister, so I want to get back together with Rias. Riser was at least calm and polite. He spoke in a polite way. Searsex remembered that Riser had been taught to respect the statue of the demon god, just like everyone in his generation and the generation before them had been taught to do. He wasn't stupid to think that his Phoenix powers would help him beat people who were smarter or stronger than him. He was just full of himself, which made him think he couldn't be defeated by people less important than him. In a way, he was the best example of their species because he respected those who were smarter than him and didn't care about those who were useless and had no potential. I can't do anything about it. Your sister will have to ask Naruto to marry her herself. Naruto is a free man, after all. I can't choose who he marries. Searsex could tell that he would have to say this a lot in the future. Riser was unhappy. You want him to marry your sister, though? You support that relationship. Doesn't that show that you're biased? Searsex was patient. He was still going to be calm. This wasn't enough to make him lose his temper. He just leaned forward and put his hands together as he looked at Riser. Behind his hands, he smiled. He thought Riser would ask to fight Naruto for Ria's hand in marriage, but it seems Riser knew not to do that in this case. He didn't realize how funny this was, and Riser just made a good point. I want my friend to marry my sister and become my brother. I think that's what you mean when you say I have a bias about. The question came from Searsex. Riser was right, because that was the result he was hoping for. Riser was full of himself, but he was also smart. He was smart enough to see the truth in some things, but his pride got in the way when he dealt with devils from the low and middle classes. Riser was a very well-liked devil among his own kind because he was so proud and cocky. This was because he was one of the best devils of his kind. Rias didn't like Riser, but that was because she didn't want to be a trophy wife. She didn't dislike Riser as a person. I think you were doing more than just showing bias. You were actively trying to connect the two. Many people, but not me, think that this is a power move to make sure that the next Lucifer is another Gremory like you. The child of Naruto and any of our species will be a devil who stands out from the rest. It makes a lot of people worry about what might happen if one family has too much political power. Riser spoke while he was on his knees, and he made sure to put the blame on someone else. Searsex noticed that he didn't name the other people who thought this, but he would play this game with Riser. It wasn't a joke either, and if nothing was done about it, it could become a real problem. He knew that many of the most powerful families would be afraid of the political power that the family that got Naruto would be able to get. It could completely change how they run their government. Yes. But what does that have to do with your marrying Rias? This part was also clear to Searsex. Since Naruto wasn't a devil, their law said he couldn't marry more than one woman. He would have to get married the way people do, which is to only one person. If that wife was Revel Fenix, Rias could not marry Naruto, of course. Naruto had a lot of trouble with the fact that he was human, respected, and wanted by his people. If he could just turn into a devil, everything would be so much easier. But he wasn't able to. The evil pieces weren't made to work on Naruto or whatever he was. Just like it wasn't made to change gods, Naruto was a different kind of human. Queens, rooks, knights, bishops, pawns, and mutation pieces couldn't help him because they weren't strong enough to bind or change him, and they weren't stable enough to use on him because they weren't made for him. To be able to turn him, they would have to go to great lengths and use a piece that no other devil had. Even that was not likely. He is human. He is the one who will lead our people into a new age, but he is also very human. He will get older, but most importantly, our laws don't let people form harems. Does the same rule not apply to him that says the 4 great demon kings can't have harems? His political power is just as strong as yours. He is a free man, but if he told us what to do, would we not do what he says? Riser talked as he approached the desk. He made a good point, which made Searsex feel bad. He didn't tell Naruto about this because he didn't want to stress him out, but he kept Naruto away from other devils he didn't need to see because he didn't want Naruto to say the wrong thing by accident. Naruto's words would have a big impact on how his people thought. Years of trying to change his people for the better by getting them to worship Naruto were now coming back to bite him in the behind. Riser didn't just come up with this on his own. The words he used were chosen with great care before he said them. Riser was smart, but not as smart as this. Behind the scenes, someone was making plans. Someone was trying to quickly get Naruto married and introduce him to the devil people. This person might have said the wrong thing, which could have caused trouble among them. He didn't know what this move was leading to, but it was clear that it wasn't someone who thought like him. No, because putting Naruto in the public eye would make it even easier for someone to use words to control him. Naruto could be put in a position where he could destroy our politics. This is the old Satan faction at work. Searsex could tell that one of his old enemies had decided to take advantage of this opportunity. What do you want me to tell you, Riser? When Searsex stood up, he asked. He took things much more seriously. I want to get married to Rias again. Then talk to Rias instead of me. I am not Searsex Gremory, I am Searsex Lucifer. I no longer have any say in what the Gremory family does. Searsex was done talking about this now. At first, he thought that the conversation would be funny, but now he could see that there was something much darker going on behind the scenes. Yes. Yes, Lord Searsex. With that Riser's departure. Go get the other demon kings, Graphia. I need to tell them that the old Satan faction is moving. Spread a rumor that Naruto is currently on a world tour or that he is going to another country. Searsex could start by making that move. If anyone acted on the information that was leaked, even if it was just to check if it was true, that would help him find a spy or two and maybe get information. He didn't think the enemy would be that stupid to take the bait, but it wouldn't hurt to try. At the very least, sending out fake leaks would let the enemy know that they knew about them. That could make them have to put off their plans or even give up on them if they didn't have enough people. Yes, Lord Searsex. The times are changing. Both boosted gear and divine dividing are now active. Naruto woke up when all of the god-killing sacred gears had users, the truce was more tense than ever, and the old Satan faction was plotting. A time when everything is uncertain and dangerous. Hey. Ajuka doesn't believe in prophecies, but I do. Searsex could see that the fact that everything was happening at the same time was no longer just a coincidence. Changes had never happened at the same time before. But this is when Naruto turned back into flesh, when he was needed the most. Naruto could either destroy them or save them. Sister. I'll leave this in your hands. He was going to try as hard as he could to be saved. even if doing it meant he would die. The air smelled like blood. Not an easy smell to forget, especially if you lived a life filled with the smell of blood. Naruto was just walking around by himself in the middle of the night when he smelled blood. He really needed that walk to try to calm himself down after turning into a bar of soap and putting himself through a lot of mental stress. Even after the couch thing. It looks like it was too late for me to save this guy from dying. As Naruto looked down at the dead man, he thought. Dressed in priest robes, these guys were against devils. Of course, that didn't make them his enemies, either, since he didn't believe in any of that nonsense about people meeting enemies. Parts of his body were cut by the sword. The person who killed the man was such a jerk that Naruto could only feel sorry for him. These wounds won't kill you right away. This person wanted to hurt this man. He was treated like a toy. Naruto used his fingers to follow the path of the bloody wound. There were enough cuts and bruises to show that he was dealing with a professional jerk. Not a professional killer, but a guy who knew how to kill people in the most painful way possible. This is sick. Naruto may be a ninja, but even ninja had standards. Most ninjas thought it was best to kill with as little pain as possible because giving your enemies more pain just gave them more chances to kill you, too. This person's torture-based battle style was much less common than methods for killing people quickly. It showed an awful lack of morals. If I have any luck, someone will blame me for this when they walk by in 3, 2, 1. Naruto got up and turned around, expecting to see someone with angry eyes standing there. The fact that he was wrong was a good thing. When a very big sword stabbed into the ground where Naruto had been standing, he jumped to the side. Naruto smiled to himself and felt a bit of nostalgia when he was blamed for something he hadn't done. You sadistic villain. Yep. So are we going to fight? Since he wasn't going to explain why he wasn't guilty, Naruto asked. He was very familiar with the pattern because he had seen it many times in his life, even if he couldn't remember the details. The misunderstanding wouldn't be cleared up until someone could no longer fight and had to listen to the other side of the story. Just so you know, I'm not going to kill either of you because of this misunderstanding, and I totally get why you're mad at me. About that, Naruto did say something. Two girls about his age, and they were the same height as him, which was bad news. He didn't like that he was a late bloomer, but the fact that most girls in this time period were about as tall as he was just made him mad. One of the girls had a sword that looked like a katana, and the other had a huge, long sword that was almost as thick as she was. He was surprised that her skinny arms could even lift the sword, but it was clear that she was athletic. For being caught in the act, you're surprisingly calm. Give back the Excalibur swords you stole, and we'll be kind to you. A girl with blue hair and big breasts spoke. The ends of her hair were green. Naruto grabbed a few strands of his own hair with his hand. Naruto said in a whisper, "That is so cool looking." He should also dye some of his hair a different color. He could think of a few colors he would like. He liked the idea of having a small part of his hair dyed red. Naruto grabbed the girl's katana by clapping his hands on its blade. He then got up and kicked the girl in the face, sending her flying away from him. Naruto turned the sword around in his hand and stuck it into the ground by its blade. Xenovia, be careful, he doesn't let his guard down easily. Got it, Irina. That's very smart to attack when my guard is down. Since I've moved here, the only person I've fought is Cyraorb, so I thought everyone else would be like me and be a power idiot. Naruto saw Xenovia jump up and try to hit him with her sword. She was very direct about how she was going to fight. That pleased him. When he swung his fist at her, she turned her sword so the flat was facing him. His fist hit the metal. She was pushed back, and the punch was so strong that her sword almost flew out of her hands. Ow, damn it, that metal is hard. Naruto moved his hand up and down. With the amount of force he used, his punch should have broken the sword. When Irina came up to him with her sword in her hands, he moved to the side. He ducked under her blade as she was in the middle of her swing. That's how they worked together to fight. Xenovia seemed to be strong, to attack right away, and to be able to distract or defeat an enemy. Irina was fast and had better technique than Xenovia. With her better technique, she could make up for Xenovia's lack of technique. They worked well together and made up for each other's flaws. Even now, Xenovia was moving to slash at him because she thought he was going to attack Irina, but Irina changed how she held her sword and moved forward to take another swing at him. We've got him. Irina was hit in the chin by an attack, but Xenovia landed in front of her and blocked it. Irina crashed into Xenovia's body, and the attack she blocked sent both of them flying backwards. They stood still, and Naruto pulled back his fist. "He can run faster than you." Xenovia said this as she took a deep breath and huffed. Her arms were shaking because she had to use so much strength to block those punches. She wasn't making fun of Irina at all. She was just telling the truth. "He's faster than you and stronger than me, but he's not giving us enough credit." Xenovia spoke more quietly. This person wasn't getting closer so he could attack them. "Right now, I'm really taking you seriously." Naruto shouted for them. He wasn't afraid to hit them, but he also didn't want to kill them. He could easily beat them, but he didn't know how strong they were. If he wasn't careful, he couldn't use deadly force on them and not expect it to kill them. But there is a difference between being serious and going for the kill, and I don't know what secrets those swords hold. Naruto told them about it. He didn't want them to think he didn't think much of them, so he let them try to take advantage of that. You could fight an opponent with less than your full strength and then look like an idiot because you didn't give them enough credit. "We may have to go back." Irina saw that they were in too deep. Naruto gave a sad smile. "Unfortunately, I won't let you do that either. I really want to explain what's going on, so I need to beat you two here so I can tell you why you don't get it." "That doesn't make sense." "I can understand it." Naruto said something as he ran towards them. Non-lethal force is just that, non-lethal. Naruto ran behind Xenovia and hit Irina in the side of the head while hiding behind her. As her body hit the ground, her sword fell out of her hands, and her eyes rolled into the back of her head. "Irina, watch OU." When Naruto kicked her in the arm, Xenovia's sword flew out of her hands, and he grabbed her by the face. He let go of her face when he jumped into the air and put his palm on her stomach. He threw her to the ground, where she landed in a crater made by her own body. As she tried to get up, Naruto's knee hit her in the stomach and knocked all the air out of her body. She was still awake in some way. Irina was a better swordswoman than this girl, but it was clear that this girl was the power idiot of the two. She was able to take hits like a pro and give them out just as well. "Those wounds." "Stop." "Sorry." He hit her in the face with a punch. "Gah." "Sorry, but I don't know how hard to hit you." Naruto hit her again in the face. It was hard to tell how tough she really was, so he would have to keep making the blows stronger and stronger until he hit her with the right amount of force to kill her. "Stop hitting me. I know you didn't do it. Are you ready to listen?" Naruto was surprised by her answer, since she hadn't even been knocked out yet. He saw that she was right next to the body of the dead priest and had a great view of it. "Ah, you aren't being too stubborn about this misunderstanding, are you?" Naruto found out something that surprised him. She was strong-willed, but not so strong-willed that she wouldn't listen to someone whose point of view she misunderstood. "Those cuts were made by swords, but you fight with your fists, so stop punching me." Blood was coming out of Xenovia's nose, and her cheek was swollen. She was stupid, but not so stupid that she couldn't figure out that the guy who apologized for hitting her in the face wasn't the cruel person who hurt their friend. Naruto took his hand off his head and rubbed the back of it. Wow. I was afraid I would have to tie you up. I'm a little surprised." Naruto thought this would be like everything else. He got off Xenovia, so she could stand on her own. "Can I punch you back for punching me?" "Sure, why not?" Since he had hurt her for no reason, Naruto said. It looked like she knew the truth before he first punched her in the face. He didn't know that, and he was happy to get in trouble for it. Naruto got his body ready and let down his guard. He gave her a thumbs up to show that he agreed with her. "I'm not going to dodge, I'm not going to improve myself, and I'm going to let my guard down for this just to make sure it hurts." Naruto gave himself a shake to calm his nerves. Punch. "Ow. I punched you in the nose and cheek, so don't punch me in the eye." "But I guess this is fair." Naruto wiped his eye and gave her a smile. She put her arms across her chest and nodded, then looked down at Irina, who was still out. She gave him a quick look. "You are a human, right?" "I'm human." Naruto told her it was true. "Good, that makes things easier. But why are you here if you're a person who has been changed?" "This is the land of the devil, and we're only here for a mission." What Xenovia said and did showed that she had doubts about him. He was very powerful, and just being in the city made people suspicious. Naruto was happy. I'm just here to play jokes on the devils who live here. I just wanted to have some fun. Then, as I was walking, I ran into this guy. I didn't see who did it, but it looks like you two were in on it. Freed. The fallen angel Kokabiel has stolen 3 Excalibur swords from the church. We're here to beat him and get the swords, or die trying. I'd rather not die, so can I depend on you to help me? We don't want war, so the more help we can get, the better. Xenovia reached out to help Naruto. He took her hand right away. Sure, if you really want my help, I'll give it to you. Naruto also didn't want a war, even though it wouldn't hurt him. Do you have a second set of clothes? When Naruto looked down at her, he saw a big tear across her chest that let him see one of her breasts. His cheeks were getting red because he hadn't noticed that she had been shown to him. Just then, Xenovia tossed her cloak back over her shoulders. I'll change when Xenovia picked up Irina and put her over her shoulder. Return to your base. I'll see you later. Xenovia turned around and began to leave. Naruto cocked his head. I just saw her whole breast, and she didn't hit me for it. What's wrong with this time? Naruto got in trouble for punching her in the face when she tried to stop him, but he didn't get in trouble when he accidentally ripped her clothes open and saw one of her breasts. If he had even seen another girl's bra from his time, he would have been hit across the village for it. It kind of freaks me out. Rias wasn't even shy when she thought I was the soap. Later, Naruto also had to deal with this. Naruto blinked. PFFFFFFFT. Irina's behind was on full display because the back of her uniform was torn open, letting everyone behind Xenovia see the goods. Are these clothes made out of paper? Naruto looked at himself in the mirror and saw that he had damaged the right sleeve of his shirt by punching too hard. He was shocked when he saw the shirt, so he palmed his face. He had to find clothes that would last. I can't believe that I lost so easily. Don't worry, he said he would help us. As Xenovia started to put on her new combat uniform, she said. Did you remember his name? Xenovia asked Irina this because she had just realized she didn't know what to call the man who had beaten them and said he would help them on their quest. They were both naked and in the process of putting on clothes. I have no idea, I was out. I forgot to ask. Xenovia couldn't remember what she had to do. They were surprised when someone knocked on the church doors where they were hiding out. They didn't bother to get dressed. Instead, they just threw their robes over their naked bodies and walked out the door. They shouldn't be getting guests since the person they were supposed to meet up with is dead. They hadn't even told the people in charge about his death yet, and they hadn't asked for help. When they opened the door, Xenovia saw the man who was helping them. Naruto was standing there, balancing 3 Excalibur swords on his shoulders. Sup. I said to help us, not to do it for us. Xenovia knew right away that Naruto had left the group and finished their mission on his own. She had a lot of questions, but she knew she didn't have to answer any of them. How did you get those from Kokabiel? Irina would ask them why. I found out where they were hiding, crept up behind Kokabiel, and stabbed him in the back of the head. Then, while his friends were busy, I took the swords, and now I'm here. As he gave the swords to Irina, Naruto told her. He didn't need them, but he had said he would help in any way he could. This was a lot easier than he thought it would be. It was like these weirdos didn't think there would be ninjas around every corner or that someone would sneak up on them when they were in their base. During the ninja era, they stopped being sneaky because their enemies were also ninja. Once your fellow ninjas saw you, being quiet was no longer useful. Stealth was only ever used in battle to get the upper hand, but Kokabiel hadn't even been looking for him. Naruto was a little surprised at how well his plan to sneak around worked. Just put a knife in the back of the man's head. He took the swords with him and left. You sneaked up on the legendary fallen angel general from the Bible and stabbed him in the back of the head. Irina was surprised by that. They were going to fight him and forcefully take the swords back, but their job was done now. Who are you? Irina needed to know. Naruto blinked. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. I guess I forgot to tell you earlier. Also, I wasn't sure if I was supposed to kill his friends, so I didn't. If you need Kokei's dead body, I can go get it for you. Naruto didn't know how to say these strange names, so he just cut them down. He didn't know if the body was needed to prove he was dead or not, but he remembered where he had put it. How? How did you? Flashback. There he is, yes, he has let his guard down. As Naruto fell out of the window and into the shadows of the building where the enemies were hiding, he thought. Only one of the 3 people he could see had black wings. Naruto took a knife from a nearby convenience store that he was supposed to return, but instead he stole it. He held it backwards. He had not been noticed by Kokabeel. Nobody had seen him yet, and as he walked up behind Kokabeel, he was so quiet that no one heard him. He raised the knife above his head. Thunk. As the knife went deep into Kokabeel's head, his eyes rolled up into his head and blood came out of his nose and eyes. Naruto kicked Kokabeel's body into the 2 shocked men, then ran across the room and grabbed the blades that were sitting there. He put them on his shoulder in one smooth move and jumped back out the window he had come in through. End of flashback. That's about how I did it. I kind of thought he wouldn't notice me until the last second, but I don't really go around planning to kill people. Naruto didn't want to kill Kokabeel. He only did it because he had to in order to stop a war. Naruto watched Kokabeel for 40 minutes to find out what kind of person he was. People who had no heart and only wanted to kill, hurt, and spill blood. He wouldn't lose any sleep over killing someone like that. When he killed Kokabeel, it wasn't because he wanted to, but because he wanted to make the world a better place. Maybe Kokabeel saw him in that last second of his life, but the man was too stunned to do anything about it. Amazing. Even though you are wearing orange, you are so cool that you look like a real ninja. Irina yelled with her eyes full of stars. Naruto blinked. But what does orange have to do with being a ninja? Naruto had never been made fun of by another ninja for wearing orange, and most of his friends didn't wear colors that are usually associated with ninjas, as far as he could remember. Well, those sneaky guys who worked for the leaders did, but they were part of special units that did missions behind the scenes. Are you okay? Naruto asked Xenovia. The girl was confused and had her hand on her cheek. I didn't think I'd make it through the mission alive, but the fact that Kokabeel's helpers are still around could be a problem. Irina, can I trust you to return the swords to the Vatican? Xenovia had to keep going with the mission and get rid of all the threats. At the same time, they had to keep the swords from being taken again. I'm not going to leave you alone to fight, because what if they have a secret weapon? Naruto was hit in the chest with the back of Xenovia's hand. This man is with me, and I'm sure he'll be a good teammate. Tell them that the mission's main goal has been reached and that we did God's work well. Okay. But I don't like it. Irina took the swords, and Xenovia gave her the sword she had brought along. Now that the main mission was done, she wasn't going to need to use it. She could still use her own sword to fight if she really needed one. It would be best if Irina took all 5 swords they had back with her so they could be safe again. God. Bright, sunny aura. Has this divine feeling to him? Naruto didn't understand. Yes, our Lord. But, didn't he die, like, a few hundred years ago? I think I felt him die when I was made of stone. Naruto had felt a god die before he was taken to the underworld, which was hundreds of years ago. He knew for sure because he could feel it every time a divine being died. He knew what it was like to feel that way, and his statue had been in Europe at the time. For a moment, Xenovia just looked at Naruto. What kind of a joke is that? A long time ago, I was a stone statue. I was just opened up recently. But that god guy, I'm pretty sure he was killed in battle with the strong demon beings I sensed a long time ago. Xenovia hit Naruto in the face and looked like she was going to kill him. How dare you tell such a brazen lie? Xenovia got up and left. The following afternoon. I'm sorry that I hit you yesterday. Xenovia was kicked out of the church because she made a stupid mistake and asked for confirmation that what Naruto had said was not true. She hadn't even left the airport when she was told that she was no longer part of the group. So, they bought her a plane ticket back to Japan and told her to find a place to live that was far away from the church. The things Naruto said were true. No problem, Zen-chan. Naruto gave her a smile and a thumbs up. You're letting me off because I overreacted when I slapped you. Now you should slap me back. Xenovia lowered her head and prepared to get hit. Naruto gave her a look like she was an idiot. No. I said something that really hurt you, and as soon as you left, I felt like an idiot. I should not have said what I did. You look like you need to be cheered up. Would you like me to ask Rias if she will make you appear? She likes taking in lost animals. Sirzex had already told Naruto the stories about Akeno, Yuto, Kaneko, and Gasper. He didn't know what happened between Issei and Asia, but he was sure that Rias could give Xenovia a place to call her own if she needed one. Before she looked at the ground, Xenovia looked at Naruto. Can you? She had nowhere to go and no money, so she didn't have many choices. That's great, but she doesn't think I'll be in Kuo until tomorrow, so help me fool her tonight. Even though Rias teased him when he was a bar of soap, Naruto still wanted to play a joke on her. She shook her head no. I'm not a prankster. Okay. Xenovia looked at Naruto, and then she smiled when she saw him grin at her in a sunny way. He put out his hand for her to shake. This gave her a second chance at a friendship she thought was over. She had only known Naruto for about 24 hours, so... what's the point of all this? Prank. I asked Searsex for a little bit of prank money, and he gave me a little more than I expected. Sometimes I forget how rich these people are. Naruto had asked for help because he didn't have any money. Searsex was more than happy to give him that, and for a rich guy like him, it was probably just pocket money, but it was more money than Naruto had ever had in his whole life. Even though he was a successful ninja, he had been poor as fuck for almost his whole life, and now he had no money at all. He would have to start making money on his own so he wouldn't have to take money from people around him. It hurt his pride that he couldn't take care of himself. He could easily go hunting in the woods, but he didn't have the right ID or permissions to do that. When it suited him, he didn't like being a ninja who obeyed the rules. Okay, but why are we going to a clothes store too? Xenovia was still wearing her combat uniform, but she no longer wore her church robes. She was no longer part of the church, so she could no longer wear them. She still had her cross, though. Just because she knew the truth and planned to become a devil didn't mean she had lost her faith in God. Naruto looked at what she was wearing. Because you don't go with the crowd. At all. You look like a couch potato, Xenovia said with a deadpan face, since he was wearing gray sweatpants, a white short, and an orange jacket. Since he was wearing an orange t-shirt when she met him, she could see that he had a color theme to him. You look like a spandex model. I know I do, but it's good for combat. It breathes better than you might think, and the hole around my lower back. This time, Naruto looked at her with a deadpan face and said, shows off your ass crack to everyone behind you. Even though the view was nice, it wasn't really a good place to have a normal conversation. People were looking at them, but they were mostly looking at Xenovia and giving her strange looks. People in this country didn't seem to show much skin on average, which was funny because almost all of the girls he saw were wearing skirts. Xenovia nodded. What's your age? 16. Yeah, but you come from a different era. So how would you know fashion from this era? Xenovia pointed out the flaw in his reasoning. Naruto did nothing but look at her. Naruto pointed to a group of laughing girls in the mall and said, common sense still exists, and you don't look like any of the girls our age. Look at them, then look at yourself. At first glance, it was clear that they were dressed for the time, but Xenovia looked like she was straight out of a BDSM magazine. Xenovia took the time to look at the other girls and herself. She learned from the example and realized that she did not fit in at all. You do have a good point there at least. Yeah, I do. After hours. Yeah. I do. Naruto was sitting down while Xenovia kept trying on clothes. He was just mad at himself for coming up with the idea in the first place. He wanted Xenovia to make a good impression on Rias so she could fit in better, but now he was at a fashion show with a girl who didn't know as much about fashion as he did. I had a good point, and now I regret it. This is the universe hating my good ideas. When Xenovia came out of the changing room, Naruto collapsed on himself. She looked good. That didn't mean much because she was hot and looked good in just about anything. She would look good even when she wasn't wearing anything. Good clothes could make an average person more attractive, but they didn't have nearly the same effect on a hot person. It might make them look better, but it almost never made them look worse. Xenovia was so hot that she could wear things that didn't go together, and it would just make her look like an interesting hot girl. How does? It looks good, it all looks good. You're a babe, so everything you wear looks good on you. Now can you just take that off and go buy something? Naruto asked her. That's fine, I already need some underwear. Get a girl to help you with that, because I'm a guy, and you shouldn't show me that stuff, said Naruto. I really want you to see it. I want to see it, but we're in public, it's not appropriate, and Rias will beat me up. Naruto made up the last part, but he was sure that if she ever found out he went clothes and underwear shopping with a girl, she would be mad at him. When they were about to go on a date, clothes shopping wasn't too bad, but when they added underwear shopping, things got a lot less appropriate. Why does a hot girl like Rias want to go out with him again? I want you to see it. If I'm going to become a devil, wouldn't it make sense to follow my desires more? Xenovia did make a good point. Yes? Okay, but are your abilities something you were born with? Xenovia asked to make sure she was making the right decision. She had already seen what Naruto could do when he was holding back, and he had killed Kokabeel without even trying. She was interested in him because of his skills, and it would be even better if he could pass them on. Naruto gave it a lot of thought. Well, sort of. Sort of? Naruto answered, well, my chakra is genetic. My kids will be Uzumaki like me, with big chakra reserves, improved life force and healing, and stronger bodies. But my own abilities have to be taught, so my kids can learn to do the things I can do, but they aren't exactly genetic. He didn't understand. Xenovia did. But only your children can learn to use the powers your chakra gives you, Xenovia told him, as if he didn't know that he could have just said yes. She could see that being born with those improvements was a good thing. His Uzumaki blood could be passed down, and all of his children would be born with their own chakra, just like him. In a world where no one was born with a body like his children would be the only ones of their kind. Naruto nodded. Don't get naked while talking, do it in the changing room. Naruto told Xenovia when he saw that she was almost naked in front of him. He then pushed her behind the curtains. He felt like he was in a world full of idiots or people who didn't care about how they looked. He was grateful for the few people who had it, but that made him realize that he seemed to be surrounded only by people who had no shame. Naruto grumbled, at least punch me when you realize I'm seeing you naked. If he just got punched for being a pervert, the world would make a lot more sense. Why would I punch you? I don't mind if you see me naked, it's just flesh. Pay attention. Should I? I want you to see me naked, so why would I be upset about it? When you see me, I get exactly what I want. Naruto put his face in his hands and said, oh my god, she's just as stupid as I am. Xenovia just didn't get why being naked around the other sex made people feel bad. Why do you want me to see you naked anyway? Naruto didn't want to know the answer, but he wasn't so stupid that he didn't notice how plainly she said she wanted him to see her. I want you to see me naked is a statement that even the most stupid person could understand, even if they didn't know why. Because I want to know if I'm sexually attractive to you. Naruto looked at the closed curtain and said, I know, you're hot. But don't come out of there naked or in your underwear. Come out of that changing room fully dressed. I'm not the only one in this store, you know. When she came out, she was all dressed. When Xenovia came out of the changing room with her new shirt down to show off her boob, blood shot out of Naruto's clothes like a rocket. She pulled up her shirt as if her breasts hadn't just been sticking out of the top. Naruto didn't fall backwards, but he did wipe the blood off his nose and look at her with a mean face. You left me a loophole. Common sense says don't show off your tits in public. Common sense doesn't mean much to me. Naruto said, I can see that, because he could really see that this girl didn't have any sense. She could have lived in a bubble or been a warrior her whole life and never learned how to be a good citizen, but the fact was that her lack of common sense made her even sexier than she was before. It was like getting extra hot points on top of a score that was already at its maximum. Girl's nipples were a tan pink color, and her breasts were bigger than Asia's but not as big as Ria's or Akino's. They were a bit bigger than average, but not too much bigger than normal. She was just the right size for a tomboy, and her stomach, legs, and arms had a nice tone to them that added to that look. What the hell, Naruto could just stare at her legs all day. She had nice, muscular, plump thighs that looked soft as hell. I see you staring. No, I'm not. Xenovia could see that he was looking at her legs. Then he would look at her stomach and her breasts. Finally, he would look back at her legs and start the cycle over again. She had long legs, and she showed Naruto how long they were by flexing them. You are staring, but that's what I want. Naruto stopped staring at her and made eye contact with her again. Good point. He wasn't going to stare if she didn't want him to, but that didn't mean he wouldn't stare if she did. He could be mean when he didn't want his opponent to win, but she turned around for a moment and bent down so she could take all of the clothes she tried on out of the changing room. Naruto hit her in the behind. If you're going to bend over, wear your pants. I'm not the only guy in here you're showing off for. Ow. I don't care if they see, as long as you see. Xenovia stood up straighter and went to the cash register. She might as well have Naruto buy all of the clothes she tried on with the money he got. Xenovia told Naruto, have you ever thought about wearing trendy clothes? With a body like yours, you could be an even more attractive man. He was a hidden gem who looked better with less clothes on because the clothes he wore usually did a great job of hiding what kind of body he had. She noticed that he liked to wear loose clothes that didn't show off his muscles or shape. He didn't even wear clothes that made him look bigger. He just wore whatever was comfortable, which didn't do him justice. My purse. No, why would I wear trendy clothes? Naruto asked the guy who just ran by him as he chopped him in the neck and knocked him out. Before the purse hit the ground, he caught it and threw it to Xenovia. She kicked the second man who was trying to run away, sending him right into the third man. Both of them also dropped the purses they had been stealing, which Naruto picked up and threw to Xenovia. Here, and he'll pay for the clothes, Xenovia told the cashier as she gave the purses back to the women from whom they had been stolen. Oh, okay? Listen, I dyed part of my hair green because it's trendy. I used to have long hair because it was trendy, but it got in the way of battle. You might not care about fashion, but I think you would look better if you wore clothes that showed off your strong body more, Xenovia said as Naruto finished paying for everything. It would definitely make for a more exciting form. Xenovia would say that Naruto would get a lot of girls hot and bothered if he showed off his body. Naruto just looked at her as they gathered up everything they had bought, including the prank supplies, and left the store. As long as I'm comfortable, I don't care if I'm exciting. That makes sense, but it looks like I gave these men a show, too. You were right about that. Xenovia saw that everyone was blushing and looking at her. Of course, but put on your pants already and stop twirling them around your finger like a prize, Naruto said, slapping her on the back of the head for not having the public decency to wear her pants after her attempt to seduce him failed. She was trying to be seductive, and she was, but she was a little too open about what she wanted sexually. And answer my earlier question. Naruto realized that she had never really answered that. Xenovia stopped, pulled her pants up her legs, and put them right under her new skirt. Then she stood up straight and patted herself down. I want to get you to like me. Yes, why did you just meet me? Devils are sinful, foul creatures that follow their desires. I, as a woman, want to give birth to a generation stronger than myself. If I am to become a devil, then I will follow my desires. You are strong, and children with you will inherit your power, while also inheriting my power. I am a natural holy sword user, my children will also gain that. Naruto put his hands together and took a big breath. A question. Yes? Rias fell in love with me after just meeting me, and now you're interested in me after just meeting me. Is it just me, or are the women of this era? Kind of. Why do you fall in love so fast? Naruto was very curious about this. First, Rias wanted to go out with him, and now Xenovia wants to have his kids. There was something very wrong. Xenovia did nothing but tilt her head. You should just get used to it. Hey. Get used to it, you're a strong, unique male. Your genes are better than those of other men, and unlike other men, your children will have more potential than those of their parents. In the world of magic, power and desire go hand in hand. Every year, more and more. I'm not in love with you, per se. Xenovia told him the facts. You are by far the best father for children based on your ability to fight. That's not smart. Isn't love important? Naruto didn't know what to think. This kind of romance was even worse than what happened when he was a ninja. At least back then, ninjas could choose who they loved, and it wasn't usually done for selective breeding. Xenovia tilted her head to show that she didn't understand what he was talking about. She didn't really understand what he thought was wrong. Oh. I see, you are worried about a relationship without love. Don't worry. If you want, you can think of me as a mistress, and you can marry the girl you love the most. I'll be happy to carry your children, but I'd also like us to fall in love. Xenovia could see the benefits of love as well. Love would help the children grow up more stable, and with a father helping to raise and train them, they would grow stronger and have more potential than if their parents weren't loving. So feel free to fall in love with me, and I'll do the same for you. Xenovia copied Naruto and sent him a thumbs up. I'm both scared and interested by the women of this time. What kind of sick place have I come back to? Naruto just looked up and stared at the ceiling of the mall. It was as if the whole world was a paradise for perverts. How many tits, asses, and pussies had he seen since he was brought back to life in this world, and how many times had he been beaten or attacked for seeing them? It was like the women in this time period were a completely different species from the women in his own time period. They were definitely much more sex positive. Actually, maybe he was surrounded by strange, shameless women. Hey Sears. Please explain this from beginning to end again, because your letter didn't do it justice. I also don't understand why you didn't tell us that God was dead before now. Sears had his hand on his head because he didn't know that Naruto knew a secret that the most powerful people in the world had been hiding. He had spent years making sure that no one found out the truth about that little. No, that very big problem, and he had no idea that Naruto knew everything. But Naruto was a statue on Earth when that battle happened, and he was in sage mode at the time, feeling everything around the continent. It wasn't impossible for him to have known, but he might not have given it much thought. Okay, I was going to trick your sister, but I found a dead guy instead. Okay. Well, these two girls attacked me because they thought I killed the guy who was already dead. I can see why they would do that. Then I beat them up and we talked. I agreed to help them get their holy swords back and kill a man who was trying to start a supernatural world war. Like you'd. Sears agreed that Naruto would do that, probably because he didn't like the idea of a race-based war between two groups. So far, he was following the story that Naruto was telling him, but it was hard for him to believe that everything had happened in less than 6 hours. Even less than 6 hours, if the story was true. Continue. So I tracked down the guy, watched him for a while, and then stabbed Kokebeel in the back of the head with a knife I stole from a convenience store. Stole, but okay. So I gave these girls their swords back and accidentally told them that God was temporarily dead. Temporarily? Xenovia and Sears asked, their eyes getting bigger at that news. When they were surprised, Naruto raised an eyebrow. Temporary. Full circle. All these modern gods are just reincarnations of the gods that were around during my time period. You do know that we had Christmas during my time period, right? When humans died out during my time period, so did the gods. Then dinosaurs died out, and the gods came back without their memories. Naruto told them that they had seen all of this before. Sears blinked. Christmas was around when you were alive? Christianity, Christmas, and many other religions were around during Naruto's time. Yeah, let me tell you. Did you know that Santa isn't real? Ninjas are sent on missions to sneak into homes and leave presents? Naruto asked them because he didn't like it when he found out the truth. When his sensei told him how one of the holidays he loved as a child really worked, even though he never got any gifts, he was shocked. However, some gods haven't been brought back to life yet. Jashin hasn't been brought back to life, which is a good thing. The people who worshipped him were the worst.
Naruto shook his hand in response.
But he only ever met one cult member. So God is going to come back to life eventually? As Naruto talked to her and Sears, Xenovia grabbed his shoulders. The news was shocking, to say the least, and it was even more shocking that Naruto seemed to know all of this but hadn't told anyone. Eventually. Why didn't you tell us about this? Sears had to ask that question because he wanted to know the answer to it more than anything else. He didn't care that Kokebeel was killed because no one important knew about it and they could just act like it didn't happen. He was very curious about why Naruto didn't tell them everything. Naruto did nothing but tilt his head. What do you mean, no one asked me? All of you have just been testing me and making me go to therapy. You haven't even asked me anything about gods. I've even told you that everything goes in cycles. I didn't think it was important enough to talk about. Naruto didn't even know what information was important enough to share with any of them. In his time, there were the same number of religions as there are now. In fact, there were even less religions in his time than there are now. That was because not all of the gods had come back to life as themselves yet. Naruto believed in gods, but he also knew that gods could be killed. Because gods had been killed before, he didn't think their existence was important. Sears cupped his hands over his face. Naruto had a point. I forgot. You literally lived through all of human history. You know everything that has ever happened in the countries where your statue stood. I keep forgetting that just because you don't remember your own past doesn't mean you don't remember what happened in the last 1,000 years. Sears just saw Naruto as a 16-year-old boy who was stuck in stone form and had to go through something that most people couldn't do. He didn't give Naruto enough credit, and he didn't care at all that Naruto was the most important source of history ever. Naruto knew things about the world's history that no one else did. Naruto didn't know the names of important people in history, but he knew everything there was to know about the gods who had come back to life and thrived. He knew the paths that people took and how they lived their lives. So, how long until he comes back to life? Xenovia had to find out what the answer was. Naruto turned his head to look the other way. I saw. Anything from 5 years to 7 billion years to 8 billion years. I don't know. Usually, once humans are gone, gods get weaker and die. Or just go away. I've never felt that a god died while people were still alive. Naruto did not know everything. He could just tell them what was happening when he was there. But you've already been kicked out of the church, so it's not like this changes where you're going in life. Naruto said this to her with an eyebrow raised. She was going to die and go to hell long before God came back to life, because she couldn't go to heaven while she knew the truth. Xenovia let out a sigh and nodded. I agree with you. Naruto, do you know any other secrets that you should share with us? Searzex asked while grabbing Naruto by the shoulders. Define secret. Something that most people don't already know. Define secret. Naruto said it again, because he didn't know what he knew that could be called a secret. He remembered a lot of things that happened in the last couple of thousand years. These things might be secrets or they might be common knowledge. I have no idea what you mean by a secret. Are all the Satans really dead? Yes. Will they get better? No, because when God was weak, he killed them. So you're saying that if I don't ask you directly about these secrets, you won't be able to tell me whether they're true or not, just because you don't know what we'd call secrets? Searzex's question sounded like he didn't know where to start with everything. Now, he was starting to doubt everything he had always believed. God was weakened? Searzex asked, his eyes big with surprise. Yes. Why did he lose strength? He had been fighting something that was too powerful for him to kill, so it was sealed away. Don't you know what it was? Well, sort of. I don't know what it was called, but it was about as strong as the shape-shifting dragon that looks like a human and the mischievous dragon that does tricks in the sky. What? Searzex didn't know what to think of that statement, or of the way Naruto told them about it. Searzex started walking back and forth, and Xenovia just looked at Naruto with a confused face because she didn't understand what he was saying. She just watched as Searzex hit his head against the wall a few times to get rid of something. It was quiet for a long time. A long silence. Naruto, please tell me the truth about how strong this thing is. Compare it to your chakra and magic levels. If it came to life, could I beat it? Searzex was afraid that such a thing would do a lot of damage. Naruto gave it a lot of thought. You can't win, because the magic that thing gave off was about the same as my remaining chakra after I lost Kurama. If Kurama wanted to, he could easily turn this world into ash, and that was with only half of his chakra. That beast's chakra was about as strong as mine is now. Of course, that's based on nothing but magic. Naruto had to admit that he had forgotten what the beast thing could do. But Searzex had no chance of winning at all if you only looked at his magic and chakra levels. Searzex nodded. Wait, your level of chakra is the same as... What? I mean, I do, but I can't use that much force in a fight where people could get hurt. So, I can only use attacks with moderate power, and I'm not willing to destroy more than a couple of mountain ranges. If I say more than that, I could hurt people I didn't mean to hurt. Naruto didn't want to do any kind of attack that could hurt other people. His chakra reserves were the same as Kurama's, but Kurama's chakra was a lot stronger and more powerful than his own. Still, it can't get out unless someone breaks the seal, and I'm pretty sure I'm the only one who knows where it is. Naruto knew where the beast was locked up. He was sure that if Searzex didn't know about it, no one else could easily know about it either. So this beast has the same amount of power as Ophis and Great Red? I don't know who those people are. The dragon that can change its shape and the crazy dragon that does tricks in the sky. Searzex's sweat dropped when he realized that Naruto could tell him that he knew those dragons existed but didn't even know their names. Naruto's knowledge was both very useful and very useless, because everything he knew was from the point of view of someone who couldn't hear words or names and could only see things from the outside. Naruto gave a surprised look and nodded. Oh, that's what they're called. I would really like to meet them someday. They might be able to tell me where the tailed beasts are locked up. Naruto did not forget that he wanted to set the other tailed beasts free. He didn't know where the statue was that held them, so he couldn't even find out where they were without asking some powerful beings who had lived for a long time. If that monster is ever released, can I ask you to work with Ophis and Great Red to defeat it? Searzex didn't like to ask this question of Naruto. Naruto blinked. I have no problem with that, but they would have to agree with me. Oh, thanks. That makes me feel better. Also, why did you say I could possibly beat that beast? I mean, having more magic doesn't make it stronger just because you have more. You might be a lot smarter in battle or a lot stronger. Chakra and magic levels aren't that important. Cyroorg is very strong, but he doesn't have very much magic in him. Naruto made an honest comparison. When it came to hand-to-hand combat, Cyroorg was even stronger than Searsex. In battle, magic power was not the only thing that mattered. There were a lot of other things, too. Did you know any techniques that could be used quickly and were very dangerous? Did you know how to cut off your opponent's head before they could do anything about it? There were so many ways to kill an opponent that Naruto didn't care much about their chakra and magic reserves. During his time, he had met a lot of people with so little chakra that they could beat up people with 100 times their level. That's a good point. Alright. Is there anything else you think might be important? Searsex again grabbed Naruto by the shoulders. Yes, Naruto didn't know what was a secret and what everyone knew. Is Lilith still alive, Naruto? Who or what is Lilith? She is our ancestor and the wife of the first Lucifer. She is the mother of demons. What happened to that woman was a mystery to Searsex. Naruto did nothing but tilt her head. You do know that I don't know what demons' names are, right? I've felt the presence of a lot of women from other species. That was a question Naruto couldn't answer. Rather, he might have known the answer, but he couldn't remember which devil was which. It was easy to tell the gods from the warriors and the great leaders from the common people, but it would be hard to tell one person from the next. Searsex agreed and let out a sigh. Tell me if you don't remember. Sure, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Can you help me enroll Xenovia in Kuo? Naruto pointed to Xenovia and asked. Consider it done. I'm looking forward to a lot of headaches. The Searsex could now see it. The other Devil Kings would not be happy to hear this, but he did learn something he hadn't thought about before. Naruto was worth a lot more to them than he had thought at first, and Searsex could see that no matter how much Ajuka tried to deny it. Naruto would be the one to kill everyone or save everyone. That chakra. Chakra. I can feel chakra again after such a long time. Slowly, a black mass began to come out of the mouth of a giant hooded statue with 9 eyes, 8 of which were wide open and 1 of which was closed. The black mass slithered out of the statue's mouth and slowly took the shape of a person as it dripped to the ground. It was aware of the chakra. So long had passed since he had been able to feel that chakra, the one he needed. Since then, he hadn't felt any chakra at all in the ninja world. When his troops went to war with the ninja world, they still couldn't find the piece of his plan that was missing. All ninja would be killed, and then the moon would crash into the earth, killing all life on the planet. He had given up on everything, so he just went into the statue. The Kyuubi he needed would come back to life at some point. But it never did, not even when the Shinigami died and half of the Kyuubi's chakra was let out of it. It was scary to think that he would never be able to reach his goal because half of the Kyuubi never came back to life. So, he turned into the statue and got ready to sleep for the rest of his life. To sleep forever and ever, until the Kyuubi woke up and caused trouble in the human world again. Along his black mass of a body, 7 eyes opened. 5 of the eyes were red and had 4 pupils, with 3 pupils on each side of the middle pupil. The other 2 eyes were purple and had black rings in them. Each eye looked at the other. His name is. He used the memories that were stored in his eyes. Sleeping had made him forget his goal, his memories, and his mission. He was truly immortal, and nothing in that time could kill him. He took care of these eyes and the memories they held because he knew that as long as he had these eyes, he would always be able to remember his mission and keep himself safe. If he was killed, he could give up an eye and change reality so he could get away. I can feel Naruto Uzumaki's chakra. I can feel my Jinchuriki. How, though, is he still around? Naruto Uzumaki. He now had the last piece of the puzzle and knew why the Kyuubi had never come back. Since Naruto was still alive, the Kyuubi could only come back to life inside of Naruto. Naruto was its Jinchuriki, the place where it was most connected to the world. Black Zetsu was his name. He used the Sharingans in his body to bring back the memories he had forgotten and to remember the plans he had forgotten. Even though he was immortal, he had been sleeping for so long that he had forgotten everything. He had stolen these Sharingan and Rinnegan so that he could remember his mission and give them to people who might be able to do it for him in the future. Sasuke Uchiha's Sharingan eyes. Itachi Uchiha has eyes called Sharingan. Obito Uchiha's single Sharingan eye. Madara Uchiha's Rinnegan eyes, stolen from Nagato Uzumaki. Each eye's chakra held memories of when it had been a part of his plan or when it had read the ancient plan he had given to their clan. With these eyes, he could never forget who he was or what he had to do to get where he wanted to go. It's just as strong as the day he disappeared. The chakra that can be felt from countries away. Yes, that chakra can't belong to anyone but Naruto. But how? How has he escaped for so long? How has he survived? Black Zetsu looked around, trying to figure out how many years had passed. He wanted to know so many things. Did Naruto make it, or did a ninjutsu move him forward in time? People could ask a lot of questions, but they didn't matter. The important thing was that Naruto gave him hope again, even though he didn't have any. White Zetsu. The ground beneath him began to change, and a white figure began to rise from it, as if waking up from a long sleep. The immortal beings that lived deep below the surface of the earth, which he could control as easily as people could breathe. Tell me. What's going on in the world? The White Zetsu network was under the whole earth and worked together to give him information whenever he asked for it. He only had to say the name of a single Zetsu, and the whole network would start working again. Hua. We're awake again. Black Zetsu and White Zetsu merged, and they turned back into Zetsu with a body that was half white and half black. The eyes of the Sharingan and Rinnegan are hidden inside their bodies. He looked through their dreams to see what they remembered about the Zetsu network. Zetsu laughed to himself as he looked at the unconscious memories that White Zetsu in Japan had made. Kuo. In Japan, the language is similar to ours. Let's see. Naruto hasn't lost his fighting skills. He could clearly see that Naruto killed a man with black wings, who might have been a new kind of demon. He didn't care though, and it was strange that the black-winged man didn't have chakra. Zetsu told the Zetsu network, collect the body. Collect it and bring it here. The ground moved and changed shape. The mindless Zetsu in the network began to teleport this Kokebiel's body, fusing it with the ground and making the whole trip in a few seconds. The body of Kokebiel came out of the ground, and Zetsu took a quick look at it. He saw the cut on the back of his head from the knife. His body joined with the Zetsu. Ha! Kokebiel was brought back to life by fusing his body with that of a Zetsu and making it stronger. His brain was fixed and joined with the brain of the Zetsu. His heart also started beating again. Even better, his body got stronger as the White Zetsu's chakra system merged with his. Hello, Kokebiel-kun. I'm sorry about your death, but it's good to see you're awake. You can call me Black Zetsu or God. I've chosen you for a mission. Do you want revenge? Black Zetsu whispered as Kokebiel slowly stood up. Kokebiel hit the rock next to him with his fist. It blew up, and it wasn't just a small rock. He could feel the strength in his body and a new energy in him that gave him even more power. Slowly, a confused look began to form on his face. From a simple look at his body, he could tell that everything about him was much stronger than it had been before. I died? He didn't remember dying. All he could remember was pain. After that, he couldn't remember anything. You were killed by Naruto Uzumaki, who is our enemy. Naruto Uzumaki? That's an odd name. And you're the one who brought me back and made me even stronger. Kokebiel asked as he made a spear of light in his hand. It wasn't the same. It was bigger, and the new energy in his body made it even stronger than his strength. His yellow light spear had changed color and was now yellow with black energy flames shooting out of it. He was a lot stronger than he had been. I fused one of my White Zetsu to you to revive you and give you their strength, speed, durability, and chakra. This is my gift to you. Do you not like it? Do you want more power? Black Zetsu asked Kokebiel in a seductive whisper. The promise of more power got Kokebiel's attention. Kokebiel made his wings appear. No longer could they only have 10 wings, he had 12 wings, which showed that his power had gone beyond what was possible for his species. His body and power were so much stronger than they used to be that his body had to be pushed to the next level. When he saw the wings on his back, he laughed, made a light spear, and pointed it at Black Zetsu. You call yourself God? Well, what are you trying to do, oh God? Kokabeel spun his spear in his hand to see how well he could control his new power. He was so much stronger than he used to be that he was embarrassed by himself. He felt bad about how weak he had been before he died. He might have reached this level of strength before now, or maybe he couldn't have reached this level of strength until he died and was brought back to life. I want you to bring Naruto Uzumaki to me alive. What you do with your power after that is up to you. If you want to use your power to do whatever you want, that's fine with me. Bring him to me alive, and I'll give you one of my best eyes. Black Zetsu called out the eyes he had hidden inside himself. Kokabeel looked at them. Those eyes gave off a scary feeling, as if they were not from this world. They gave off an air of power and evil. Just how strong is this Naruto Uzumaki? Very. Can you not sense him? With your new body, you should be able to feel his chakra from here. He is strong. I can feel him. Kokabeel wondered what that power was that he hadn't been able to feel before, but he smiled to himself as he thought about how much fun it would be to fight this warrior. Even though the warrior's power was still much stronger than the new power in his own body, he was sure that the battle would be great until the last drop of blood was shed. Ha 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 ha. Okay then, God, as long as you don't mind me killing a lot of people, we're good to go. Zetsu smiled in both black and white. Do whatever you want with your power, it's yours. Just get me my prize, and I'll give you everything. If you fail, there will be no second chance. The white Zetsu that is fused to your body will separate from you, and you will die, Zetsu told him. Kokabeel had no choice about what to do. Death was the stick, and power was the carrot. Kokabeel didn't care about that at all. He just laughed out loud as he thought about the wars he would start now that he was in charge. He could kill demons and angels, and he could bring whole civilizations to their knees. Kokabeel said, "Of course, I'll need soldiers. You can't expect me to do this by myself." He wanted an army, a group of people who would kill in his name. He was strong on his own, but if he had an army, he could go to war on his own side. 15 spots on Earth started to turn white. 15 white Zetsu started to come out of the ground without thinking, and they finished forming into soldiers that Kokabeel could use however he wanted. When Kokabeel saw the 15 soldiers who would be the start of his own army, he smiled. So, how many of these soldiers do you have under your command? 100,000. They can absorb energy from their enemies, gain their memories and powers, and perfectly copy them. They have intelligence that surpasses humans and can access each other's memories. Their bodies can fuse together with victims in each other. They have regeneration powers, and each is worth between 10 and 100 trained warriors from my time. They do not get tired, do not need food or water, and will never need rest. Black Zetsu said with a grin. It wasn't a mistake. White Zetsu were so strong that the average ninja had no chance against them. Only skilled and trained ninja could kill them. They were an army that could beat up any enemy army and sneak into the enemy camp by pretending to be friends. They could only be killed by a skilled chunin or jonin. Kokabeel laughed. You give me 15 of your 100,000 soldiers, but you talk like you just gave me. Kokabeel stopped when he saw one of the white Zetsu start to change. Using the information they stole from him, they turned into an exact copy of him when he only had 10 wings. Kokabeel looked at the Zetsu and asked, "What is this?" Black Zetsu whispered to Kokabeel, "This Zetsu that has taken your form has all the powers you had before you were improved. I'll give you 15 soldiers that can copy the powers and skills of their enemies. Each soldier is worth between 10 and 100 warriors, depending on how good a leader you are." Kokabeel believed him now. You just gave me an army of 1,500 warriors. That's more than enough to fight this Naruto Uzumaki you want to capture. I'll give your Uzumaki to you, Kokabeel said as he turned away from Black Zetsu and walked away with his 15 soldiers following him. He walked with a wicked grin on his face. As he flew into the sky, all 12 of his wings spread out, and 15 of his soldiers fell to the ground and merged with the earth. They were going to Kuo again. There was going to be a war. White Zetsu asked his black half, is he going to win? Possible, but I'm not getting my hopes up. I would have given him a Sharingan if I thought his chances were better, but he seems strong. Naruto was training in Sage mode. If he mastered the same techniques as his master did, this will be the best way to test his current battle power. We will make changes to the plan based on Kokabeel's failure. Black Zetsu said with a wicked tone. He just thought that Kokabeel, who had just died, would make a good and easy to control pawn. Fusing a Zetsu to him to make him stronger was just the most basic part of his plan. His Zetsu network was now working again all over the world, so he could watch this battle and see how strong Naruto had gotten after he became a sage. When he needed to get rid of pawns, it was best to get rid of ones that were easy to control because he could just get a dozen more of them at any time. That's so mean. What if he wins? Then that's good, but he won't be able to beat Sage Mode without a Sharingan or Rinnegan, even if Naruto did learn it, Black Zetsu said with a knowing tone. He thought back to the fight between Jiraiya and Pain and how close the old man with Sage Mode came to beating even Pain, and that was with the Rinnegan. If Jiraiya had known Pain's secret before the fight, it would have been easy to say that he could have won against the Rinnegan user. Sage Mode users were never to be underestimated, no matter what. Wouldn't it be best if he didn't know about us? If we attacked in secret? The white Zetsu fused to Kokabeel won't let him tell any secrets, and Naruto doesn't know where we are. We only get one surprise attack, and if he uses it and wastes any of our eyes during it, Naruto will know we have them. It's better to save those eyes for our real attacks later, when we find hosts for them. Black Zetsu was going for the long game. He thought Kokabeel had a low chance of succeeding, but that would depend on whether Naruto could use Sage Mode or not. If he didn't know the answer to that question, he wouldn't risk a Sharingan or a Rinnegan.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.